Revenge Story with Anjo.
The rain hadn't stopped all afternoon. London streets shimmered under the streetlights, glassy and cold. Olivia Harper pulled into her driveway, exhausted from another 12-hour shift at the design firm. She was halfway to her door when she noticed the small figure sitting on her porch, knees pulled up, backpack at his side. Her heart stumbled. "Eli," she whispered. The boy looked up, pale and quiet, raindrops sliding down his cheeks like tears. Behind him stood her older sister, Grace, umbrella trembling in her hand. "Just for the weekend," Grace said quickly. "I need a break." Olivia blinked, confused. "A break from what?" she asked. Grace avoided her eyes. "Everything. He's been difficult." Her voice cracked on the last word. Eli didn't move, his little hands clamped over his ears. "You can't just leave him here," Olivia said. But Grace was already stepping back toward the rain. "I'll call you Monday," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Before Olivia could reply, Grace turned and disappeared into the dark street. Olivia stood frozen, the rain soaking through her coat. "Come on, sweetheart," she said softly. "Let's get you inside." Eli didn't answer. He stared at the doormat, rocking slightly. Olivia crouched, reaching for his hand, but he flinched hard, covering his ears tighter. She withdrew, startled. "Okay," she murmured gently. "No touching." "Got it." She opened the door wider. "It's warm inside." After a moment, he stepped in, his wet shoes squeaking on the floor. The heater hummed to life, and Eli stiffened at the sound. Olivia turned it off immediately, heart pounding. She hadn't seen him in months. Grace rarely brought him around, and now he was standing in her living room, small, silent, eyes darting like he was mapping every corner. "Are you hungry?" she asked. No reply. She tried again. "I've got pizza." He turned slightly, but didn't speak. So she made it anyway, slicing it into tiny squares and placing it gently on the table. He didn't touch the food. He just sat on the floor by the bookshelf, rocking slowly, whispering something under his breath. Olivia crouched near him, listening. It sounded like numbers counting. "Do you like numbers?" she asked softly. No answer, but the rhythm steadied. She watched him until midnight, unsure what to do next. At some point, he fell asleep curled on the rug, his backpack as a pillow. Olivia covered him with a blanket and whispered, "It's okay, Eli. You're safe." Days passed with no word from Grace. Olivia called, texted, even reached out to Grace's friends, but her phone was off. Meanwhile, Eli spoke to no one. He ate only crackers, lined his toy cars in color order, and melted down at every loud noise. Olivia was overwhelmed, lost. But she'd always been the problem solver of the family. So she did what she did best, she researched. By the end of the week, she had pages of notes. Autism spectrum disorder. Sensory triggers. Routines. Predictability. Olivia built their life around those rules. Breakfast at 8, walk at 9, lunch at noon. The first few days were rough, screams, tears, thrown plates, but slowly, Eli began to adapt. He didn't talk, but he followed patterns. That was progress. One morning, she found him arranging cereal pieces by shape and color. The precision stunned her. "That's beautiful," she said quietly. He didn't respond, but she thought she saw the corners of his mouth twitch. For the first time, she felt a flicker of connection. Weeks turned into months. Grace never called. Olivia stopped checking the door, stopped leaving the porch light on. She had become a full-time guardian without meaning to. Yet, the more she learned about Eli's world, the more she realized how wrong she'd been to pity him. His silence wasn't emptiness, it was focus. One afternoon, she took him to the park. He didn't play with other kids but sat on the grass, watching the shadows move across the ground. "They change," he said suddenly. It was the first time she'd heard his voice. "The shapes change." Olivia froze. "Yes," she whispered. "They do." After that day, words began to slip out of Eli in fragments, simple, hesitant, precious. "Blue cup," he'd say when he wanted water. "Too loud," when the blender startled him. Olivia learned to listen between the words, to sense what he meant even when he couldn't explain. Her apartment slowly transformed. Soft lamps instead of harsh lights, noise-canceling headphones near every chair, and a whiteboard on the fridge with pictures of daily routines. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. 3 years passed before Olivia accepted that Grace wasn't coming back. She filed for guardianship with quiet determination. When the social worker asked if she understood the commitment, she said simply, "He's family." She was 38 now, her hair shorter, her patience longer. She'd given up late nights out for quiet evenings and therapy appointments, but she didn't miss her old life. Eli filled it in ways she hadn't expected. Eli turned 10 that spring. He still didn't like hugs, but he let her sit beside him while he worked on his puzzles. One evening, she found him on her laptop, typing lines of code. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Learning Python," he said casually, eyes on the screen. Olivia blinked.
Who taught you that?
YouTube, he replied. From then on, coding became his universe. He filled notebooks with algorithms and graphs, obsessed with order. Olivia didn't always understand, but she saw the calm it brought him. He wasn't escaping the world. He was structuring it. He'd whisper patterns like prayers. If this, then that. True or false. 1 and 0. Logic gave him peace. When he was 12, Eli built a program that organized Olivia's design files automatically. It watches for mistakes, he explained, showing her how it worked. She was stunned. "You made this." He nodded. "So nothing gets lost." The phrase hit her harder than he realized. It wasn't just about files, it was about life. By 16, he had outgrown her apartment workspace. Olivia helped him rent a small studio near Shoreditch, filled with secondhand desks and too many wires. He named it PatternSync. He said it would help companies detect digital forgery, documents, images, signatures. Olivia smiled proudly. "You're protecting the truth," she said. He nodded. Truth shouldn't depend on memory. A year later, a cybersecurity firm offered to buy his software for £2.4 million. Olivia nearly dropped her phone when she saw the email. Eli read it calmly. "They want exclusive rights," he said. "I'll keep the patent." Olivia stared at him. "You're 17. He shrugged. Age doesn't change logic. The sale made headlines. Teenage code prodigy reinvents data security. Cameras and reporters filled their driveway for days. Eli endured the attention with quiet endurance, though Olivia saw the tension in his shoulders. When the interviewer asked what inspired his program, he said softly, "People forget. Computers don't." For a while, life seemed peaceful again. Olivia took a long overdue holiday for the first time in years. But one gray Tuesday afternoon, the doorbell rang. When she opened it, she felt her stomach drop. Grace stood there, older, sharper, dressed like someone trying too hard to look put together. Beside her was a man in a tailored suit holding a briefcase. "Hi, Liv," Grace said with a bright, brittle smile. "You look great." Olivia's throat went dry. "What are you doing here?" Grace gestured at the man. "This is Mr. Hall. He's handling my petition for custody and financial guardianship of Eli." Olivia froze. "What?" "You've done so well with him," Grace continued. "But I'm his mother. It's time I take responsibility." Mr. Hall opened his briefcase, sliding papers across the table, court petitions, bank statements, notarized letters. "Mrs. Bennett has maintained consistent contact and support over the years," he said smoothly. Olivia scanned the pages. They looked legitimate, too legitimate. But they were lies. "These are fake," she whispered. Grace smiled slightly. "Prove it." Eli stood silently in the hallway, his expression unreadable. Olivia turned to him, panicked. "We'll fix this," she said. He nodded once. "We will." His voice was calm, too calm. The case moved fast. Within 3 weeks, they were sitting in a sleek London courtroom. Grace wore a soft gray dress, the image of sincerity. She told the judge she had sent money monthly, called weekly, visited whenever possible. Every sentence was rehearsed. Every date neatly aligned with her forged documents. Olivia tried to speak her truth about unanswered calls, empty birthdays, and therapy sessions Grace never attended. But without proof, it sounded like emotion against evidence. The judge frowned slightly, leaning toward Grace's lawyer. "The documents appear valid," she said. Olivia's stomach turned. Then Eli stood up. Calm, precise. "Your Honor," he said softly, "I have evidence." The judge looked surprised. "Proceed." Eli walked to the stand, laptop under his arm. "May I connect this to the display?" The judge nodded. He plugged it in, the screen flickering to life. "These documents claim to be from 2015 to 2022, he began, "but their metadata tells another story." He tapped a key. The courtroom lights dimmed slightly as he projected the forged files. All of these were created 6 weeks ago. Same template ID. Same signature pressure. The metadata trails are identical. The lawyer objected. That data could be altered. Eli didn't even look up. Not if verified through blockchain hash comparison. Gasps rippled through the courtroom as he zoomed in, showing overlays of Grace's real signature from old records beside the fakes. The difference was undeniable. "The pattern of her hand pressure changes completely," he said. "These are forged." Grace's face drained of color. The judge leaned forward. "And you created this system yourself?" Eli nodded. "It's the same one used by Anderson Cybertech. They bought it for me last year." Silence filled the room. Olivia covered her mouth, tears blurring her vision. For once, truth didn't just speak, it shone. After reviewing the data, the judge turned to Grace. "Your testimony is not credible. Full guardianship remains with Miss Harper. Additionally, I am referring this case for fraud investigation." The gavel fell. Grace's composure shattered. Olivia closed her eyes, shaking with relief. Outside the courthouse, sunlight broke through the clouds. Olivia turned to Eli. "You knew what she'd done?" He nodded. "I analyzed her emails. The patterns were wrong." She let out a trembling laugh. "You saved us." "No," he said softly. "You saved me first." Months later, life found balance again. Grace accepted a plea deal, probation, and mandatory volunteer work at an autism support center. Olivia visited once to donate supplies. She saw her sister sitting cross-legged, reading to a small boy who rocked back and forth just like Eli once had. Their eyes met, but neither spoke. The center's director approached Olivia afterward, unaware of their history. "That volunteer's incredible," she said. "Comes in extra hours. Says she's learning what she should have learned years ago." Olivia only nodded, her chest tightening. Maybe some lessons come late, but they come. Eli's life expanded. Bound by a non-compete clause from his software sale, he started a new company, PatternWorks, a tech hub that hired neurodivergent developers. "We see order where others see noise," he said simply when asked about it. His first hire was Noah, one of Olivia's former students once labeled too distracted to succeed. The office was small but bright, walls covered with geometric prints, soft lighting, and quiet hums of computers. When Olivia visited, the room buzzed with quiet concentration. Noah smiled when he saw her. "You once told me being different wasn't wrong," he said. "Eli says the same thing every day." She couldn't speak, just smiled through tears. That evening, Olivia brought dinner to Eli's apartment. The old yellow cup from his childhood sat chipped but clean on the counter. They ate in silence, a comfortable one. After a while, Eli said quietly, "You didn't have to keep me." Olivia's eyes softened. "I never had to," she said. "I wanted to." He nodded, a faint smile curving his lips. "Then I guess I was never lost." The hum of the city filled the room, gentle and alive. For the first time in years, silence didn't mean distance, it meant peace.